And after listening to Dr. Moutier, Chauncey Hardy now with the Central Louisiana Human Services District joins us. There is a Suicide Prevention Symposium coming up tomorrow. It's called The Voice for the Voiceless. And Chauncey, welcome. Good to have you today.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Yes, we are having a Suicide Prevention Symposium on tomorrow in Mansura. And it's an event that is free and open to the public. And we want to take this opportunity to have a conversation about suicide. Oftentimes we don't talk about it. Yeah. It is an issue that is not talked about. It's hidden just because of sometimes the guilt that goes along with it for the survivors and or the family members who are left.
I'm sure it was intentionally planned, the voice for the voiceless.
Absolutely.
How most appropriate.
Absolutely, and the thing about it, you know, again, is that oftentimes the persons who are struggling perhaps with depression and or other issues that would move them to suicide, there's not a lot of conversation about it, and so we want to be the voice so that we could raise awareness that this does happen. It happens to people. It happens across the board, ages, races, and so on, and other demographics.
It doesn't discriminate, does it?
It really doesn't. It really doesn't. And the interesting thing is that every time I hear about it, I realize just how sad of a situation it is, you know, because persons often take a permanent solution to a temporary problem and a solvable problem. And
we'll hear personal testimonials tomorrow night.
Absolutely, personal testimonials. Actually, tomorrow morning. Personal testimonies from survivors, and you know, some of the things that they are now experiencing, and you know, oftentimes what I'm hearing is, why didn't I see it? You know, or what happened that was so bad that they couldn't come to me? And again, often, you know, the suffering is in silence.
And let's talk a little bit about that ripple effect of the family.
Right. Well, and that's the thing about it too. And sometimes, you know, what we've seen is that suicides tend to happen in families multiple times, unfortunately. And again, you know, Voss Parish is my home, and I was under the impression a few years ago that there was a spike in suicide until I was corrected. That it was not a spike, that there's always been, that a Voss Parish has always had a higher incident of suicide.
Right.
Absolutely. Exactly. And even, you know, going back and listening to some of the conversations of my mother and older people, it's always happened.
Prevalent.
Well, I want to ask you, when you say the ripple effect, because what you just said was it is prevalent in families.
Yes.
Why is that?
And I'm not certain why it is, but sometimes, you know, it appears that a family member who's had someone to commit suicide will see it also as a way out. That could be one of the reasons. But not only that, it's the guilt. The ripple effect is the guilt that the survivors feel for not being able to see that my loved one is struggling, you know, that maybe I was negligent, or I was uncaring or unobservant or something along those lines, where I just missed something I should have seen. And the reality is, quite often they've become so adept at hiding it that you really can't see it. And one of the things we're going to discuss also are the signs and symptoms. You know, there are some things that people will sometimes do when they're contemplating suicide. The interesting thing, though, is that, you know, we have to hit it head on. You know,
and that's where the guilt comes in. Why didn't I see that? Why didn't I see these signs? And then you go through the guilt. And that the cycle continues.
But they hide them very well.
Again, Chauncey, this will be tomorrow morning from 9 until noon. It's going to be in Mansura.
Where's it going to be in Mansura, Mark?
Cochon
Delay building on Leglise Street.
That's the main street.
The street of the church across from, it's the main street in Mansura.
In Mansura, 1832.
Yes,
Thank you for doing this for our community,
Thanks so much for having me here.
Thanks, Chauncey. Again, it starts at 9 tomorrow morning.
Yes.
Free. More to come on our show. Stay with us.
I'm Frances